The nice thing about this deck is you just always have cards in hand, unless you just happen to hit 4 lands in a row off the top of your deck. Hello and welcome, guys. We are here for another video. This time we're doing something very different from my usual content. As you all may know, I am typically a person who plays Amulet Titan in Modern. However, my original OG deck that I've been playing since 2014, 2013 maybe, is Esper Draw-Go. I love me some Esper Charm action, and that's what we're doing today. The reason for this is because of a recent printing. The card March of Otherworldly Light was printed in the most recent Kamigawa Neon Dynasty set. This is an instant for X and a white, and you can pitch any number of white cards to reduce the cost of this card by 2. And then it says, exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment with a mana value X or less. This is a card that I'm very excited about. I have actually played it a couple times myself in some leagues just to test it out, and I think that it is very good in this deck. A number of things that March can do includes exiling a dashed Ragavan, which can sometimes be a problem for the Esper deck. It can also, for 1 mana, exile an Urza's Saga, so you don't have to grind through all the value of it, hence reducing the need for things like Dress Down or additional copies of like Supreme Verdict or Dam in the deck. March of Otherworldly Light hits Blood Moon, among other things, even off of a single basic plains. It hits various artifacts like Pithing Needle that might be used to deactivate your Teferi Hero of Dominaria. March of Otherworldly Light is just a very versatile card, and it's, of course, an instant, which is of immense value in this deck, because everything we want to be doing is at instant speed. And in the sideboard, we do have a couple of spicy inclusions. First of all, I will note that we're playing 4 copies of Spreading Seas, and this is specifically because of the Tron matchup, specifically Green Tron, as typically this matchup tends to be difficult otherwise without having access to Field of Ruin, which obviously we can't play when we're playing Esper Charm and Archmage's Charm in our deck. We can't really afford to play that one, so we are playing 4 Spreading Seas in the sideboard just for that particular matchup, but it also happens to hit Sagas, among other things, so Spreading Seas should hopefully come into use. And we are playing 1 copy of Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, the 10 mana 12/12 Annihilator 4 that draws 4 cards on cast. But the most important part of this card is actually the last ability. When Kozilek is put into the graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles their graveyard into their library. So of course this is going to be 1 against mill. If they happen to mill it over with an archive trap or whatever, then Kozilek will shuffle our entire graveyard back in. And if it does happen to get hit off of Tasha's Hideous Laughter, at least it is half of the value of that card already. Being a 10 mana spell means that it'll count towards 10 of the 20 mana cost that they're trying to mill over with that card. So either way, Kozilek should be good against mill, and hopefully we can get that reshuffle if it does not get exiled. But of course, this is mainly there for mill because otherwise mill is pretty much unbeatable, and this gives us a fighting chance. It can also come in against very slow, grindy matchups, perhaps against the 4-color value deck, where we might be able to get to a point where we can just cast Kozilek. But in general, this card is not really meant to be cast or drawn. It's meant to just be put into our graveyard and shuffled back in, so it might be worth 1 sideboard slot out of the 15. I've seen a lot of control lists playing something like Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, and so I decided to give that a shot. Otherwise, we're playing 3 copies of Sunset Revelry, a mini timely reinforcement, so to speak. 2 mana to gain 4 life and make 2 1/1s and draw a card if you have less creatures, life, and cards than your opponent. And this is a nice one on the curve to fit along with our Kaya's Guiles, which are going to gain us 4 life in the burn matchup. We can go turn 2 Revelry, make some Trump Blockers into a turn 3 Guile, and make them sacrifice and gain some life or whatever. And more particularly, they're not usually going to have Skullcrack up on turn 2 when you can cast Revelry, and it allows you to just go turn 4 Revelry plus Counterspell backup, or Dovin's Veto in that type of matchup. So, and we are playing this almost specifically because of the burn matchup, which also can be difficult without some dedicated hate. Just Kaya's Guile is not good enough. There's one other card that I should mention before we jump in here, which is Castle Ardenvale, the white land that lets you tap 4 to make a 1/1 human token. I'm playing this in lieu of some random in-the-game sort of effect, like White Sun Zenith, Secure the Waste, Eternal Dragon, various things like Shark Typhoon. I think that the most efficient way to play the deck is to have very few of those types of cards, but of course there are going to be matchups where your opponent will force you to play it out, and you need to have a way to win a little more quickly, a little more efficiently, and hopefully Castle Ardenvale is our way to do that. It also is just a white source for our March of Otherworldly Lights, Prismatic Endings, things along those lines, so it does help us cast our spells, as well as a single Celestial Colonnade and a single Creeping Tar Pit as manlands to help us in the game. Could be Hall of the Storm Giants, but that card is like 17 ticks on NTGO, and arguably it's not even better than these two, as these fix our mana colors. while entering tapped, but entering tapped is usually not a huge cost in this deck, in my opinion. So, anyways, I've said way too much for a long and boring intro here, so I will see you guys in game 1 here. By the way, I could talk at length about the deck list that I was going over in the intro, so if you have questions, then drop them in the comments below, because I couldn't address everything. I certainly would like to talk for hours about this deck, and maybe eventually I will make a PowerPoint video about Esper Draw-Go or in the future, and if that's something you're interested in, then let me know. But if you have questions about the deck list or matchups or, card choices, things along those lines, then drop it in the comments below, and I'll get to you. This is an interesting hand. I don't really know exactly what our opponent could be playing. Bill Sive. I recognize the name, but I don't know of their deck they usually play. But we do have some early interaction. Playing the Colonnade on turn 1 is pretty free here. We need some black mana to make all these 3-drops work, and that is one of the downfalls of this deck, is all the 3-mana cards you play. But I think this is a fine keep. If we don't hit land drops, then we're going to lose pretty miserably, but not much we can do about it. They lead on Urza Saga. Well, we can march that. Perhaps a affinity deck of some sort. Maybe Amulet. Saga Pass feels a lot more like Amulet to me. Do we just fetch Shock and march this right now? It's an interesting choice. I feel like this really needs to get a black source for our hand to function. We can also just... it's not like they're going to be able to make a token next turn anyway, so I think I'm just going to use this turn to play out the Colonnade and pass. I don't think that we'll get punished for this. If they're playing Amulet, they'd have to have Amulet into Bounce Land, Grazer out a 3-drop for this to punish us, and that's kind of a lot to ask. They are playing Basic Force, so it looks like it is probably Amulet. So now we can easily march our opponent's Saga, which we will do. Get gone, Urza Saga. Oh, and we have tons of white cards that we could pitch to our march to make it cost less, but we don't need to do that, so get out of here. Get out of here. This is one of the reasons why I've been so impressed with March since I started playing it, is because of this exact interaction here. Our opponent is playing Amulet. This should be a good matchup for us, but there is a possibility for this to go south. We'll go ahead and get our black source. And the question is our opponent trying to play a Dryad this turn? Probably. In which case, holding up Kaya's Guile to make them sack and make a 1/1 to start clocking them is good. Just jamming Teferi is not... it's not the worst thing. We could also just, bounce their Dryad, but that'll give them a land from the Dryad coming into play, and then a land when they recast it as well. I don't know if it really makes a difference. We have a land drop for next turn anyways, so it's not like we want to hold up the mana to potentially Esper Charm either, so I'm just going to slam the Teferi here, and if they have something to cast, that's fine. Just uptake and pass. Here's the Dryad or Azusa. It is Dryad, which is probably better for us than Azusa, to be honest. Bounce land, okay. So no Titan coming this upcoming turn. Catacomb. Nah. We'll play Triumph. And I think we just go ahead and make them sacrifice with the Kaya's Guile right now. And then we can just plus our Teferi again. Eventually this will hit a Saga or a creature or something. This seems fine. We don't currently have an answer for a Primeval Titan, should they cast it not this turn, but next turn. Which is kind of scary, but... Alright, let's go ahead and draw now with Teferi, just to see what we can find. Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, well, I guess we're doing that. We'll swing for 1. And I think, even if they do resolve a Titan onto this board... We'll have Teferi to minus. Oh, and we just top deck the counterspell too. Sure. Don't see why not. That was always a possibility. I didn't think it would happen, but now we have answer for Titan up as well, so unless they just have, natural Cavernous Souls, which they could. It's not unrealistic. And eventually we'll start ripping their hand apart with Esper Charms. Luckily, our opponent gave us the time to start casting these 3-drops. Now we have a Teferi in play, so... looking pretty good. They have tap land go. Cool. That we might be able to beat. We'll plus and we'll plus. Hit another counterspell. Sure, why not? We'll swing. We probably want to use our mana now. The question is, what exactly is it that we want to do? We definitely want to Esper Charm, I think. But how exactly we're using it is debatable. We could just go ahead and make them discard. I think we have plenty of cards, so that doesn't seem bad to me. And then we have Counterspell Archmage's Charm up, or if they do nothing, we can just not Archmage's, Esper Charm to make them discard again. They discard Turn Timber and Gruul Turf. Works for me, I guess. Cavern Naming Giant, sure. It was a Cavern Naming Beast, actually, so looks like this is going to be a Colossus, which is fine. I guess we don't particularly want to bounce that one with Teferi, do we? Let's let them draw a lot of cards, that's for sure. And they can transmute. Maybe they pick up the Cavern here for Giant. Yep, they do. Interesting. Well, I guess we do need to find a way to answer this Colossus. Either another Kai's Guile or like a Snapcaster Mage. Something along those lines. So we probably should be drawing with this charm. We could just minus on it. There's a Snapcaster Mage. That's nice. Interesting. If we bounce the Colossus, they probably don't have any more lands. Well, I mean, we know they have 2 lands. They picked up the Cavern and something else. If they just slam Colossus, trying to keep the Cavern in hand to draw more cards, we just counterspell it. If they play Cavern, they only draw a single card off the Colossus. So I don't know if we mind that much. If we minus and they play Titan, then we can snap Kai's Guile the Titan. I think probably minusing on the Colossus is a good play here. We'll uptick here. And I'll just play the island. I'm assuming we'll need the mana, so we're probably going to make our opponent discard some cards with Esper Charm. We could make them discard almost their whole hand here, leave them with exactly with threat plus Cavern or double threat. Either way, our counterspell's probably in the game. They discard double Grazer. Well, that's good for our Kai's Guile, that's for sure. I think it's probably pretty free to go ahead and throw another Esper Charm, so I'm just going to tell my opponent they are not allowed to have cards in hand. I do not care anything else they might have to say about it. You are not allowed. They discard Colossus, Gruul Turf. Okay, sure. They play Amulet. Do we care about this? We know they have Cavern in hand. I think we're scared of what they do with a Titan that is able to attack, so I think we just counter this. They would have to have exactly Dryad plus Titan for us to get punished here. We are 2 turns away from Teferi Ultimate. There's Titan. Don't think we have to worry about Colony Garden. I'm a little surprised they played out the Cavern here when we only had 1 mana up. Doesn't really make sense to me why they would go ahead and play the Cavern on Giant just to get the uncounterable. I guess they're trying to transmute here, which makes sense. I mean, if they transmute, we can just... I guess we could have potentially bounce it and then snap S. We're trying to make them discard, but they get Saga plus bounce land, and I assume they're going to go ahead and transmute now. That's fine. We could -3 our Teferi on the Titan. I don't know how good that is. Yeah, they didn't cast the Pact. All right, we'll draw. Snapcaster Mage is a good one. Okay, so I think we're going to snap Kai's Guile the Titan and then counter the Summoner's Pact, and then dealing with a single Saga shouldn't be too bad, so we can afford to plus the big Teferi here. And let's go ahead and snap, make them sack, make a 1/1. Good thing they don't have those Grazers, am I right? Oh, that needs to be a white. Alright, sack a creature, make a 1/1. Swing 1. If our opponent goes for the end of turn Summoner's Pact, we will counter it, so we're not going to get got by that. And we'll just pass. I don't think we're worried about Urza's Saga at this point. Yeah, not gonna happen, opponent. Valiant effort, but no thank you. They have Vesuva copy Saga, sure. Sounds good to me. We can snap March, one of the Sagas, and just try to fade a Titan top deck. We're also going to be able to draw 2 cards and exile 2 things with Teferi, so, I mean, sure. Oh, I guess we didn't have to fetch. That's fine. I think Snap March a Saga is a good deal here. Lets us get some more clock in play. And we're going to march the untapped Saga so that we get to exile the token with the Teferi and the draw. They concede. Makes sense. Alright, so against our opponent, we want Gust, and we want Spreading Seas, obviously. Although I'm not convinced that Spreading Seas is that fantastic against them, but that's fine. We want Guile if they're boarding out Grazers, which they probably are. Guile is a very efficient way to answer their Dryads and other things when they resolve, and Push doesn't really hit Titan, so we don't want Push. We might not want Push at all, to be honest. Dam is, like, arguable. Prismatic Ending hits Amulet, but that's about it. And I guess we could ending a 3-drop, but I'm not super in love with that. Hitting their Amulet with a Prismatic Ending doesn't really matter, because in the long term, they're going to find extra redundant copies of Amulet. I don't know, though. I guess we do have March for Saga, so getting them off an Amulet and then preventing them from ever getting another Amulet off Saga could be relevant. Kind of wish we had a 4th March for this matchup. I thought about putting one on the board. Castle Ardenvale doesn't seem necessary here, as I think we're going to win by Planeswalkers or Snap plus Kaya's Guile beats. Ardenvale's not really the plan here. Snap's good. They could be bringing in Relic of Progenitus and stuff, so maybe trimming Snap is okay. I mean, we do have to end the game somehow, though. Kozilek. I don't know about that one. Time Raveler's not great in this matchup. It just bounces Saga or Dry and they replay it, so not fantastic. I do think Kyle's Guile's very good. We could either trim a Push or Dam. I think it's probably a Push. It might not even be worth having a singleton Push, but being able to, for 1 mana, answer Dryad seems pretty good, so. We have March in our hand and a couple of Spreading Seas. Feels pretty good to me. We definitely need to top deck a land for this hand to work out, but we'll try it. If we just completely miss on lands, then that'll be tragic, but Cavern Naming, Scout, and Amulet. So this probably means that they have Tireless Tracker, because I believe Tracker is a Scout. Well, we hit our land, so that's great. We'll play Delta Go. If they have Bounce Land into 3-drop, that's not great news for us, but oh, a 2nd Amulet, huh? Castle, okay. Grazer. Lots of mana progress going on here, but they could have Titan next turn. Oh, they have the Tracker, that's fine. March will eventually answer Tracker. Do we want to Spreading Seas a green source? Counterspell is not going to be able to... it would be able to hit a Titan, but we need to draw the cards here. They would have to have exactly Titan in hand or a bounce land in hand and top deck a Titan, and it has to be a green bounce land. I think I'm interested in Spreading Seasing and just risking that they have Titan. And we will get a white source here for sure. We'll hit the green source, I think. I think it's better to hit the green source than the Cavern. And another land's fantastic. They can draw a couple cards off Tracker if they want to, that's fine. They have a 2nd Tracker. Okay. And they have Bounce Land also. Yeah, that's not fantastic news for us, but... yeah, that's not great news at all. I wonder what they pick up here with the Gruul Turf. Probably just the Gruul Turf, right? Yeah, 2nd Tracker was worst possible case scenario. And they have Grazer to blank our Kaya's Guiles as well if we draw them. Prismatic Ending. Are we supposed to hit an amulet here? Or just, like, answer a tracker? Probably just answer a tracker, right? Oh, wait, we can't... We can answer a tracker by pitching the prismatic ending to a march. We could pitch a second march and maybe do both the ending and the march. Ending for 1, march for 3, exiling ending. That does work out. Or we could just prismatic ending a tracker right now. And then next turn be able to... I guess we could have marched one of these trackers a long time ago. I didn't think about the pitch cost. Which does work on flashback as well, by the way. Interesting. Well, I think... Well, they picked up the cavern with the Gruul turf. I think the plan is to pass with Counterspell up and march one of the trackers. I guess we should have marched now with the pitch cost. That way we could march and still hold up Counterspell. Since we're going to have to pitch to one of these anyways. This is fine. In response to this, we are definitely going to march one of these. I think we care less about the Dryad and more about the tracker, so... And I don't think they're going to be casting Titan this turn, so let's go ahead and march one of these guys. Or girls. We'll pitch... March, I guess? Sure. And it currently costs 3, so... Should be good to go. Yeah, definitely should have done that before we passed. I don't know why. For some reason, I thought we could hold up Counterspell and still march for only 1 mana, but when I realized it was costing 2. Ugh. There's a Saga is not fantastic for us either. This game's not looking fantastic for us, but it's still possible. We have the Seas for the Saga too, so... If we drew a white spell so we can prismatic... Like, spreading Seas into a prismatic. No, wait. What am I doing? We probably want a white source here. Do we want a white source? Nah, I think not. We could leave it for Fatal Push as well. We do have 1 push to draw. We're at 6. We're almost dead. We're gonna have to seize the Saga, probably. I think we need to fetch now to save life, and we need the 3rd color in case we are prismatic ending here, so... Yeah, I think this game is not looking fantastic for us. Spreading Seas. We can Spreading Seas the Saga, draw into a land to snap Chump, and then untap Prismatic Ending, but we're still not looking great there either. I mean, we don't really have any other choice, so... If we miss on the land, we just lose. There's the land. Ugh. Okay. Probably still dead here, though. These trackers just murdering us. Another tracker, huh? Alright, well, at least we know our opponent's on mono-tireless trackers over there. It's pretty good. Okay, so against mono-tireless trackers, we like push quite a bit more. Still not fantastic against Titan, so I think only 3 pushes is fine. Dam is looking okay. Kaya's Gal is not looking quite as good. It's very slow against them with mono trackers. Maybe we do just have 4 pushes. It's kind of crazy against the Titan deck, but with that many tireless trackers, it seems reasonable because it hits their trackers and it hits their Dryads and stuff too. That was a very strange game. I think we're good to submit like this. The triple tireless tracker is not super common out of Amulet deck lists in general, so pretty cool to see that our opponent is doing some innovative stuff over there. Yeah, we'll keep this. We get to seize something. We can Fatal Push something if they have an early threat. Archmage's Charm to draw some cards. An actual, factual counterspell. This will get a watery grave, I suppose. Raugrin. They're not going to play anything that we're going to want to counter, so we'll just play the Raugrin and pass. If they explore here, that's fine. Just castle pass. That's fine also. Prismatic Ending is an interesting one. We're playing the game. Draw-Go, Draw-Go. They have Cavern naming Dryad, okay. Well, we do have push for that, and then we can Spreading Seas the Cavern, I suppose, if we want to. There's Dryad. Can't do anything about it. Simic Growth Chamber, bouncing the Cavern, I'm assuming. Alright, we'll go to Instep. I guess what we really do want to do is push here, so we'll fetch, get our, I guess we want the black source for Dam. So we'll get Watery Grave, and we'll not pay the life, and then we'll Fatal Push the Dryad. Not a land, but that's okay, because we wanted to Spreading Seas here anyways to hit this Growth Chamber. Still not a land. That's less good. Tracker. Yep. I mean, we weren't going to be able to counter that anyways, thanks to the Cavern Souls, so not unexpected here. They can't cast Titan this upcoming turn if we just Prismatic Ending this, unless they had Amulet into Bounce Land, which I don't think I'm scared of. So I think we just Prismatic Ending this now. We also could Spreading Seas plus Dam. Spreading Seas the Saga plus Dam seems very good, so I think that's what I'm interested in here. Dam looking better than Supreme Verdict here, as we had the option to do some different sequencing. We drew the land, which is actually pretty good. Don't know what our long-term plan is for this Cavernous Souls, but our opponent draws. See what they find. Another Saga. Okay. How about another Spreading Seas? Boop. Fatal Push. Okay, we'll pass. Yeah, eventually this Cavernous Souls will get a Titan into play, but maybe we'll have established enough of a card advantage situation by that time. Ooh, naming Dryad. Sure. Look at our mono Fatal Pushes that we brought in, too. Do they have the land drop here? It's a curious question. Oh, they have a second Cavern? Oh, no. Scout. So they're hoping to draw a tracker, I suppose. I think we can save the Fatal Push for our upcoming turn, just like main phase it. So I'd rather use this turn to draw some cards with the Charm, I think. And I think I am shocking at this point to try to make sure our mana is in no way awkward, because that could definitely come back to bite us. We'll draw some cards. Another Fatal Push is interesting. Alright, we'll play this one. We'll fetch. We'll get an island. And then we'll just go ahead and push this right now. Boop. And yeah, I guess we're done. Not naming Titan is fantastic for us there. Or Giant, I suppose I should say. Here's a Tireless Tracker. Yep. Accompanied by a land drop, perhaps. Yep. A bounce land as well. Unfortunate. This picks up a Cavern. They're going to go ahead and draw with their tracker, sure. We're probably just going to snap, draw cards with Archmage's Charm at their instep. Yeah, I don't see why not. And they did pick up a Cavern, so they're trying to make sure that they can get to that Titan eventually. Teferi's a very good one. Alright, we're going to Teferi plus Fatal Push this turn. I still think I'm in the market for a... Actually, let's get a Swamp here. We'll Fatal Push this now. We'll cast our Teferi. And uptick that one. We'll swing. Teferi is extremely good here because it gives us an answer to a Titan after they resolve it. We have Esper Charm to make them discard if they don't just slam a Titan here. Cavernating Beast. So Cultivator Colossus. Maybe. Yeah, it looks like they're activating for the Colossus mana here. We can make them discard in response to this, and then let it, just minus Teferi on it. Which I don't hate. I think I'm just making them discard. Sure. They can't have Veil of Summer, which they don't usually play, but if they had it, they can't play it. We hit 2 lands. That's the same as hitting 2 random cards off the top of their deck that they would have had in hand otherwise. They put 3 lands into play. 4 lands. Okay. And natural Valakuts, which is very good with potential Dryads. All right, we'll draw. Charm. Would not like to have to minus this Teferi if we don't have to. So let's start by just drawing some cards, I suppose, and see what's up. No answers. They have a Cavern of Souls in hand, the one that was on Scout, so they can cavern through a Giant. If we don't hit on our Teferi plus an answer for their Colossus, then we're in some trouble. I think we really have no choice but to minus on the Colossus. Unfortunately. And, yeah, we'll swing. And maybe they'll give us a counterspell target. We could also draw with Charm to try to find Esper Charm. Make them discard. Oh, wait, we can't do that this turn anyways, because we're not untapping. Yeah, we'll just wait then. Esper Charm would be very good about now. Amulet. That one's very annoying. We have second counterspell, so we can afford to counterspell this one. It really sucks to have to, but we just can't let them play Titan and haste it, so... I just slamming Turn Timber. Alright, well, we'll counter this, I guess. Yep, and then hopefully we can top deck a Esper Charm, and then that'll close this game pretty easily. Esper Charm? No? Esper Charm? It could be an Esper Charm. Let's see. Draw some cards. Esper Charm, anytime now. Anytime now, Esper Charm, that you want to show up would be appreciated. Do we just go for another Archmage's Charm to try to find it? Because our counterspell's not doing anything. We have 3 Esper Charms left. We're going to untap 2, so we can Spreading Seas and still hit a Snapcaster off the top for the Esper Charm that's in our yard as well. All right, well, we'll definitely attack here. So let's get that out of the way. We know they have Cavern in hand, so this Archmage's Charm is not doing anything for us otherwise. We can play and fetch first to try to thin a little bit. Yeah, I think we probably should be digging for an Esper Charm here. We'll get regular Island. I think we're supposed to be digging, so... Esper Charm. March. Not quite. Well, March will let us actually answer a Titan, though. Let's just go ahead and seize a Valakut for now. There's no reason not to. We'll untap. If we had to March pitching like double white spell, we totally could. Ooh, is this a Colossus? Okay. Put in the Cavern that we know they have in hand. Imagine if we had Esper Charm here. Imagine. 2 lands. Colossus is fantastic for them here, by the way. Probably, I don't know about better than Titan. Maybe, maybe not. See if they pick up the Valakut or not. That'll be an interesting choice. The Cavern Naming Giant, and they leave it in play. They return Simic Growth Chamber, the one that was spreading seized, I'm sure. Yep. Interesting. It'll be a hefty price to march this Cultivator Colossus, but we can. We can also just minus on it and then slam another Teferi and uptick that Teferi. And they just pass back with 3 cards, one being a Simic Growth Chamber that we know about. Okay, let's draw here. that one does answer Colossus. That's true. So I guess we'll just do that now. Get gone. Not playing around Veil of Summer. And that allows us to plus our Teferi here. We've just got mono Teferis. Okay. Yeah, I guess we might as well play Colonnade here. Our chips for 2 are starting to take their toll as well. Again, Esper Charm anytime would be super welcome. And to think that people play less than 4 Esper Charms in this deck. We have lethal in 2 turns. March, not March. Amulet is fine, I guess. If they go for the haste here, we can blow them out with March. Here comes the Titan. Let's see what they search for. Yep. We do have 1 Aether Gust in here as well. Very interesting game so far. They have Hanweir. Okay, well, we'll let them activate for the haste. We can yield to their amulets, and then we'll just march for full value here. And then we'll probably Prismatic Ending the amulet, so this can't happen again. Although I guess by the time the Hanweir's in play, it's already a thing they can do in the future, so, but they will have to have another Titan by that time. So let's just go ahead and do this now. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in addition to the 1. Let's tap a little more appropriately, though. At least represent something. We do not need to reduce the cost of this. Although it's pretty much free to do that. I don't see a reason to. Right. Let's march for a freaking 8 mana or something. Sure. Is this another Titan? That would be pretty sad. Looks like it might be a Colossus. They have mono threats. Yep. I guess we knew that that one was in their library thanks to the Teferi minus, right? Well, they're not going to be able to haste it. Thankfully. Or they have Dryad into land haste. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. Send the Valakut trigger at us. Okay. Oh, we're just dead to the Colossus, aren't we? Yeah, that's exactly lethal, huh? Alright, well, that was close. Oh, it's not exactly lethal, but whatever. It's all good. We were not drawing particularly hot here either way, even if we played a Teferi and then uptick. There's the Esper Charm. Jeez. Alright, well, definitely very close match. If we had ever found that Esper Charm, our opponent was absolutely dead, but we never found it, so I don't know. Anyways, I will see you guys for match 2. On the play, love it. We'll go ahead and click that yes button. See if our opponent has a companion. Makes me wonder, perhaps, if we should be playing a 4 Snapcaster Mage. I know most people would probably snap that off, but I've always been a fan of having like 3 or fewer Snapcaster Mages. I've played as few as 1 or 2 as well in the past, and not for budget reasons, but by choice. This hand's not fantastic. Opponent has shown us Lurrus. If they're playing Black-Red Lurrus, this hand might be fine. If they're playing Hammer Time, this hand is not fine. But it's going to 5 cards fine. I think we just have to keep it. Hate it, and we can't afford to bottom the swamp because we're going to need all of our cards. Play this Watery Grave, tapped and pass. Oh no, our opponent knows we're not playing Death's Shadow. Razor Verge Thicket. So Scales, perhaps? Yep, Hardened Scales. Interesting. I don't know how this matchup's going to be. I always found this matchup to be very annoying, but it's probably a good matchup. Brushland. I don't know why I think that's funny. Brushland is really cool. I really think this cycle of lands is cool in general. Carplustan Forest, Adakar Wastes, Esper Sentinel. That one's very, very annoying. But luckily we have the extra mana to push here since we were on the play. Second Scales is fine. Let's just go ahead and push now. Boop. And we will pay the one. Blue Source. Fatal Push. That's acceptable. We do need to find another land at some point. We so far have not drawn one. And drawing these interactive spells is great, don't get me wrong, but, you know, actually getting to resolve this one would be pretty nice. 3 mana from our opponent. Zabaz. Seems good. I might just be snap pushing here to save mana, since we could potentially Archmage's Charm plus push if we top deck a land, so Ravager. Yeah, let's just snap push right now. Get gone. Having to deal with Lurrus is so annoying in this matchup, by the way. We usually would have plenty of resources to deal with all of our opponents' everything, but Lurrus is quite the annoyance. It gives our opponent a lot of extra resources. We always have to keep in mind that they can buy Lurrus and then play Lurrus. Luckily, we don't have to worry about it until they've actually put Lurrus in their hand. Let's just go ahead and push this guy. Oh wait, not with that mana though. We want to be able to Archmage's Charm. Get out of here, Archmon Ravager. You're not welcome in my palace. This is a palace now. What about it? Just put Lurrus in hand and pass. That's what you want to do, opponent. Lurrus in hand and pass. Lurrus in hand and pass. Come on, come on, come on. Yes! No? No! Okay. They get to kill our Snapcaster Mage. Womp womp. We could steal their Walking Ballista with a Charm. It's kind of a play. Another Walking Ballista, huh? That one's kind of annoying. I think it's better to steal a Ballista, though, to be honest. I mean, it's the same difference, actually. I mean, I guess countering it saves us the 3 life. Yeah, probably countering would have been better, but I think our hope is to just top deck a land to slam this 5 fairy. We'll gain control of that. Oh, they yielded to it. Okay, well, yeah, let's just go ping and ping and ping. Apparently, our opponent did not expect that. And they yielded through that, too. They could have pinged us for 3 or killed our snap or something. March is an interesting draw. Okay, now they're probably going to put Lurrus in hand. If they don't, then we get to march whatever they do and untap and maybe get another chance to slam Teferi land. Okay, so they're definitely putting Lurrus in hand, so we can just yield through this turn. Unfortunately, we need to top deck a counterspell for this Lurrus. Land is interesting. Well, we are going to slam Teferi. Let's get basic planes, I guess. Sure, we want to be able to overload Dam at some point, so hopefully YouTube doesn't think that I'm cursing when I say that. They're going to get to cast a Ballista from their yard, unfortunately, and then we're going to have to march the Lurrus and not the Ballista, which is going to be embarrassing. Inkmoth Nexus, sure. That one I don't believe that we can hit with march? Oh, well, no, I guess we can, because it becomes an artifact and a creature, so it doesn't say non-land, it just says artifact, creature, enchantment, so I think this one does hit Nexus also. March looking pretty impressive, not gonna lie. Here comes Ballista. Yep. We'll march that one, and then we'll march this one. Oh, we can just pay a single white to march the Ballista, too. That's nice. Esper Charm. Okay, well, we'll draw first. March both of these. And then be able to cast Esper Charm after all is said and done? Sure. We do not want to do anything additional here. We'll just pay the one. Exile that Ballista. It gone. We don't like it. Yeah, we can yield to these. Sure. And now we march the Luris. Just hitting everything. It's annoying that I have to click cast every single time. I wish I could just, like, start clicking the mana. But it doesn't let that happen, so we'll leave this Delta uncracked, because we're probably going to search for a island. The real question is, are we using Esper Charm to make them discard, just in case they hit something crazy, or do we just draw? I think we just draw with it. We'll wait, but it's probably fine. Did they ever hit our Teferi with the Ballista? I don't think so. Oh, they did target one at Teferi. I was wondering. 4 mana. Ballista for 2. That does actually answer our Teferi, I'm pretty sure. Don't know why they wouldn't pay the extra 2, but, you know, I mind my own business, so. Seems pretty free to do that, though. Oh, I guess this lets them kill Teferi and keep the Ballista around for a turn. Sure. Yeah, Ballista was not a fantastic one for us to let them resolve. Not that we had a choice, but keeping this Teferi in play was going to be a big game. Luckily, we have 2 more of those, instead of just playing 2 copies. I think Teferi is too good to be playing less than 3 in this particular shell. It's better than playing a Jace the Mind Sculptor, at least in my opinion. Well, now we just have to hope our Esper Charm does not find us mono lands. If we just happen to hit land off of our next draw steps, then we will absolutely lose the game. But hopefully that doesn't happen. We'll draw our cards. What the heck? What the heck? Okay, go. I guess we should have made them discard. The line was obvious now that I look at it in retrospect. Our opponent's at least drawing blanks over there with 3rd Hardened Scales. I mean, it still pumps their Ballista up by 4 every time they put a counter on it, so. In 2 turns, I guess this Ballista is lethal. No, it's already lethal without them pumping it a second time, so we actually have to top deck an answer, or we're just straight dead. Answer? Sure. Let's just draw 4 lands in a row and die. That sounds good to me. Nice. Okay, well, we want Supreme Verdict, I think. It's not obvious. We want... What do we want in this matchup? I don't really know. Spreading Seas hits Saga if they play it. And they probably do play it, so probably having a couple Seas is good. Maybe not all 4. We probably do want Supreme Verdict as sweeping up everything and leaving them with nothing to leave behind with a bunch of modular counters on. It's probably pretty good. Kaya's Guile seems okay. It's not fantastic against Esper Sentinel. Although Sunset Revelry is kind of okay against Sentinel. And it does chump block, which is not irrelevant. It's usually just life and a chump blocker, even just chump blockers. I don't know. I don't know if Revelry is worth it. Kai's Gal probably is, though. Excuse me. Time Raveler is debatable. For 3 mana, bouncing something is not fantastic. If it bounces a Ballista, it just probably dies immediately. Or guaranteedly dies immediately. I think Time Raveler is not fantastic here, although hitting animation module is good. But I guess March and Prismatic Ending hit module. Snap's good. Dam's fine. Counterspell is probably good. Esper Charm's very good as it gets rid of their business. Still gotta cut 3 cards, and I have no clue what they should be. The Arden Veil, again, seems to be weak. Archmage's Charm is good, stealing things. Maybe Kai'Skal is just not that great. It does hate against Luris, but I think maybe just 2 of those is fine. And I don't know. You gotta let me know through the screen. I guess they could have Pivot Needle for Teferi. So maybe I want 2 of those instead of 3, but I don't know. I think Teferi is a really good win con, and we can deal with Pivot Needle, so could be the Supreme Verdict. Maybe it's just too expensive. I do think Verdict's good in this matchup, though, but it is nice to be able to let our opponent just flood the board and be like, okay, Verdict. I don't know, though. I'm going to go without it and see what happens. Could be wrong. Be on the play. Yeah, we'll keep this. We might have to give our opponent a card if they play a turn 1 Esper Sentinel here and just Fatal Push it. Not my preference, but it is the way the world be working. Although we don't have a counterspell that we're holding up, but I guess our opponent doesn't know that. Here's the Sentinel. No? Hardened Scales. Okay. Do we Spreading Seas this just to cut them off of white and green? I mean, I don't know how relevant that is. I think they're unlikely to do anything we need to respond to immediately on turn 2, so I think probably just Spreading Seasing is the best use of our mana. Yeah, I'm going for it. Maybe this is a pseudo Stone Rain, maybe it's not. Teferi is a welcome addition to our hand. Yeah, I guess we had to Esper Charm then. I still think it's fine to just hope they don't top deck the 3rd Ballista, but Patchwork Automaton is quite annoying. Ward 2 is almost hexproof, although we can Fatal Push it. I guess we can Snap Block it as well. Not going for the second Seas here. We're probably going to need a Fatal Push or Snap Block or whatever. Although I guess any artifact will give this 2 counters on it, and then Snapcaster doesn't trade, so Saga, we got a Spreading Seas for that one. Sentinel. Alright, let's go ahead and Fatal Push now and pay for the ward. Yes. I guess them not having Razor Verge mean they couldn't have Veil of Summer up there. And I think we're just gonna Spreading Seas the Saga and pay the 1 to the Sentinel. Next turn, we can slam Teferi, then they'll draw anyways. We could also let them draw from the Seas, and then Snap Block. Or wait on the Teferi and Snap Push. I mean, we definitely can't let this Seas stay in play. Or not the Seas, the Saga stay in play. I think we're just paying. If we draw a 1-mana removal spell off the top, we can kill the Sentinel also, and that would be best case scenario. Esper Charm, sure. I guess we don't want to yield to the turn. We're going to be fetching on instep. Another Saga. Lining up pretty good for our Spreading Seas here. I guess this is the type of scenario where a Supreme Verdict would potentially be good. They put Luris in hand. Okay. Kind of scary. Although they're not anywhere close to casting it, actually, so we'll take our 1. And we'll take another 1, intentionally, doing this 1 to ourselves. We'll get a Grave on tap. We could hit the Spire of Industry, which they can't tap for mana if we just steal the Sentinel. We can Spreading Seas, or... Yeah, we can Spreading Seas, not pay the one they draw, snap push this, and then they have to have exactly a white source to be able to cast Lurrus, and even if they do, they can't get value, and then we can just, like, play Teferi minus on the Lurrus or something like that. Which seems pretty good. I don't like giving them the card from the Sentinel, but I don't know that we have a choice. I think that is our best line, though. Annoying that they have a 1-drop that just cantrips against us, but... We drew Dam, which is very good against a potential Lurrus and to get the Sentinel off the field. Interesting. Well, in that case, I don't know that we actually want to snap push. We can Charm to make our opponent discard. Then they play land, commit the Lurrus, we overload Dam, and then we're just looking pretty good. Whatever they have to follow up, we can just answer with Teferi up and, like, Archimage's Charm to steal, perhaps. Is it better to just snap push now, though? Snap push means they probably can't even cast Lurrus this upcoming turn, so I'm just going to go for the snap push and save the Dam for later. I think we can get more than 2 creatures value out of this Dam anyways. Get gone, Esper Sentinel. I would have to have a 0-mana artifact or something, like a Welding Jar, to be able to commit the Lurrus, and they still don't get value, so we can just, you know, cast Dam for the destroy target creature mode if we wanted to. Too bad we can't take control of Lurrus, huh? We could start recasting these Spreading Seas. Would be too good. I did have a version of Esper that played Lurrus and no Planeswalkers and Mishra's Bauble and 4 Dress Downs and stuff. And I thought it was quite good. It was hilarious against Burn because you just get this 3/2 lifelinker from your sideboard when you have started to stabilize, and it made the Burn matchup surprisingly very good. But I figured that if Lurrus is going to be eating Unholy Heat, you might as well just play Teferi anyways. Because sometimes the Teferi doesn't eat an Unholy Heat, and it just seems better to me. Zabaz. Okay. Land is a good one. So we can Esper Charm to make them discard and hold up Counterspell for Lurrus. They play Lurrus. We counter it. We jam Teferi. We can also just Teferi uptick, hold up Counterspell. And they can swing 2 at Teferi. I think Teferi hold up Counterspell is just better, actually. See, this doesn't have any abilities, so I think we can attack with... abilities that matter. So we can attack with Snapcaster here. And then if they just flood the board with creatures that aren't Lurrus, we can, like, overload Dam. Yeah, I think we're just slamming Teferi here. Especially before they find a Pithing Needle as well. March is very good. Right, we'll pass. Untap all of our colors and represent the maximum. The nice thing about this deck is you just always have cards in hand, unless you just happen to hit 4 lands in a row off the top of your deck. Another Hardened Scales is fine. But, like, we have 2 cards that draw 2 more cards and then 2 answers. Lurrus. We might just let this resolve and overload Dam, to be honest. Like, end of turn Esper Charm them. That seems fine. Then they'll have 1 card versus our infinite resources here. Go ahead and attack Teferi for 2. Sure thing. Yep, this seems fine. We'll get our island. And we'll go ahead and start eating their hand up. This is why Esper Charm is so good in this deck, by the way. It means that you don't have to worry about what extra things your opponent could be holding on to. We'll uptick. We'll swing with Snapcaster for value because there's a 0% chance that they block. Again, we could actually just hold the Dam and like use March of Otherworldly Light here. We have plenty of mana. I think just casting Dam is fine, though. It gets rid of our clock, but, I mean, Teferi is enough of a clock already, so let's just overload this. Colonnade, and we'll go to untap with Teferi. Untap the Colonnade we just played. What do you mean interest tapped? I don't know what you're talking about. Imagine if this was an Esper Charm and we could make them discard this Inkmoth Nexus and whatever else they're holding. Third Hardened Scales. You got it. Fine with me. We'll go to Instep. And we'll just draw some cards because that's what this whole deck is designed to do, is just draw all the cards. More lands. Not fantastic, but luckily we have an active Teferi this time, so it's not a huge deal. Okay, that's a lot of lands, but we'll survive. We'll just start clocking with Colonnade and try to kill our opponent before they realize how many lands we're actually holding on to here. And again, that's why I'm playing this card. Although I guess Hall of the Storm Giants would be doing a similar thing here, but just untap all the white sources and pass it back. Inkmoth Nexus, huh? March also exiles against potential Hangerback Walkers, so that's nice. They do nothing and pass. Sure. I like nothing and pass. Fine with me. More lands, huh? Okay, deck. I mean, we'll play Swamp, I guess. We'll fire up old Colonnado. Opponent down to 6, dead in 2 turns. Is this enough advantage? No? Okay, we'll keep going. Also, we have a Teferi that's ulting in 3 turns and drawing us a card every turn, so that's a thing that's happening. And we have double answer for Inkmoth, so... Steel Overseer, sure. We'll kill that one. We don't even have to, actually, to be honest. But I'm going to. We could just Teferi minus on it. Is that better? Because they're dead in 2 turns to Colonnade. I guess they can chump block with the Nexus. Not if we march it, though. I think it might be better to Teferi minus this. And save the push in case they have a way to kill us with Inkmoth and protection. Oh, Counterspell is good, too. Yeah, goodbye, Steel Overseer. And we'll shock in Hallowed Fountain. Our opponent's like, what? Oh, here's Veil of Summer. Do we just counter this? Do we even care? I guess we just push it, since now they can't have anything relevant off the top. Our Counterspell will deal with everything that... Oh, I guess they're drawing from the Veil. Oh, casting the Fatal Push allowed them to draw, but... Okay, whatever. I'm over it. I am over it. This allows us to hold up March for the Inkmoth and still have Counterspell, so we're fine. Oh, and we can even shock in Hallowed Fountain, which I will do. They can block with Nexus and shrink our clock. They don't. Okay, well, again, we're playing the game. See if our opponent's 2 cards off the top can beat us when we have Counterspell plus Answer. Hey, I mean, to credit our opponent, last game we did lose because we drew, like, multiple lands in a row, so... Automaton. That doesn't really matter, but I'm gonna counter it anyways. And when they fire up their Inkmoth to block, we will march it, so... Yeah. Our opponent found the line. Finally. Okay, so that went pretty well. I do think Supreme Verdict is probably good here, though. All of our 3-mana spells are actually very good, though. Maybe Kaya's Guile is not fantastic. Spreading Seas looked pretty decent there, too. We know they have Saga. Is it worth having the 4th Seas? And they do have Veil as well, which is important to note. Maybe Teferi is, like, fine against Veil, since it stops them from being able to cast it in the first place. Maybe we go with Teferi instead, and trim... I don't know what we're trimming here. Maybe a counterspell to play around Veil a little bit. Seems kind of loose, but we're just mono removal over here. So, and we can even overload Dam to play around Veil Summer if we don't want to target anything. We were just not fated to win game 1, I guess. Somehow, I'm sitting here playing slowly and explaining everything that I'm doing, and we're ahead on time compared to our opponent after we just did all of the work for the last, like, 10 turns of that game. We'll definitely keep this one. And again, we'll just be giving our opponent a free card if they play a Sentinel. It's just the way things work in today's modern nowadays. Oh, that is not the white side of that land, so it's pretty good. Are they holding up Veil for our discard that we totally play? Sounds good to me. Playing Polluted Delta here, not because we plan on getting a basic land of Fatal Push, that would never happen, but actually because we're going to fetch a tapped Watery Grave with it, which means that we want to have the freedom to get basic planes, which is definitely a thing that can happen. Patchwork Automaton is quite annoying. Again, basically hexproof. We will Spreading Seas the heck out of this Saga, though. It's gone. And I guess we do it off the Mystic Gate. There's some value in holding on to the Mystic Gate so that our opponent doesn't know we have Verdict mana, but can't make me. We probably will end up pushing this Automaton, paying 3 mana for Fatal Push. Yeah. Not another Automaton. Please don't. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, well, we could always just draw Supreme Verdict. We could snap to block as well. Snapcaster is looking like a 2-mana card that is going to cost us another 1 or 2 mana at least. We can Esper Charm to make our opponent discard. I think Snap to block is somewhat reasonable here. And if they play something else we can push, then we can do that. We can also just play Tarp it and use this turn to get the tap land out of the way. Or we can just Charm to try to find one of the 3 Wrath effects that we have. That leaves us tapped out for our opponent's next threat, though. Interesting. We could also just hold up Esper Charm, act as if we have a counterspell, and then end of turn push something, and the next turn we can do a similar thing with Snapcaster push and just pay the ward on both of them. I think that's okay. I don't think our Creeping Tar Pit entering tapped is going to be a huge problem down the road. I guess the way that we're playing it right now, that might prevent us from slamming Teferi on 5. Esper Sentinel. That's a quite rude opponent. I don't like it. Yeah, let's yield to the Patchwork Automatons. And we could just, again, try to find that Verdict, but that's a little too all-in for me. Yeah. I think we want to push here. Oh, but that plays so... Hold on, that plays so poorly into Veil of Summer. Can we do anything about Veil of Summer here? Snap Block is the only thing that doesn't really play into Veil of Summer at all, but that also is weak to them just having a second artifact here. If they have a second artifact, then they're drawing a card from the Sentinel, and we're paying 3 mana for a Fatal Push. I don't love it, but I do not want to get blown out by freaking Veil of Summer. If they tap out of it to play a second artifact, then we can push one of the automatons then and let them draw the card. Or we could just have chosen not to play around Veil, but I think just letting this resolve is fine. My plan here is to snap block the 2/2, unless they play another artifact main phase here. I'm hoping they're just going to cast like a Hardened Scales or something. This card, very good. Very good. Alright, we'll let them attack. I am snap blocking. The fact that they're passing here makes me feel very strongly like they do, in fact, have Veil of Summer. Prismatic Ending plays around Veil, and that means we'll probably be drawing with Esper Charm and not discarding. We'll block the small one. Ooh, passing with the green up, huh? That is absolutely Veil of Summer. Ooh, Time Raveler is pretty good against Veil of Summer, though. Although we can't bounce the Automaton. We can play Flooded Strand, pay 1 for the Sentinel and Fatal Push, and if they have Veil, then I don't know. We can also just push the Sentinel, or we could just go ahead and Prismatic Ending the Sentinel off of whatever we get the Flooded Strand, and then hold up Push or Esper Charm. I don't know, this is just awkward as heck, because we have to pay 1 for the Sentinel and play around Veil. If they Veil our answering the Automaton, that might be good enough for them to win, just off of that interaction. We can't really play Teferi and just plus. I think we have to deal with the Sentinel before we try to deal with the Automaton, unfortunately. Which makes me want to just go ahead and Prismatic Ending the Sentinel. I guess Prismatic Ending does not get hit by Veil, so we could Prismatic Ending the Automaton for 2 and then pay the 2. I like that. Yeah, let's go with that. We'll hit this Automaton like so. No, we don't want to do that. This does let them draw with a Sentinel, I guess, but there's not much we could have done about that. Ward 2 is just so good. If this were Ward 3, we'd just never be able to target it. But Ward 2, it's reasonable. We'll let them draw. We'll not pay the 1 because we need to pay for the ward here. And it's exiled. Cool, and we'll pass. Now we just have to be mindful of Sentinel. We can use Time Raveler to play around Veil. Unless they tap out here. There's a green. Not a green. There's a white. Zabaz. Again, they're representing Veil. The fact that they almost played the... Oh, Zabaz is legendary. That was an interesting play. The fact that they tapped the green first and then tapped the white makes me think they might be bluffing the Veil. They probably were like, I'm going to play the Zabaz, and they played off the white and off the green. They're like, well, I guess I should bluff that I have Veil, and they tapped the white instead. Piling on the Sentinel is interesting, because we wanted to kill that one anyways. Yeah, now we are getting punished for our Tar Pit entering tapped. Because we could have Teferi'd... We could have Fatal Push, pay the 1, and then cast Teferi. And that would have been pretty strong. We could Fatal Push, let them draw a cast Teferi, and then just uptick. We could also... Nah, Teferi bounce is not great on this board. Or we could... I think we're going to Fatal Push and hold up Counterspell. I think Fatal Push, hold up Counterspell is good. We'll pay the 1. That's why I floated the white. Oh my gosh, it's 3. No. Well, now we're definitely casting Teferi. I forgot that the plus counters buff this ability, obviously. Alright, well, that's okay. We'll just play Teferi and uptick. I'm not really scared of whatever they could resolve with our shields down, so, because we can just bounce something. Unless it's an Automaton, in which case we can bounce it and pay the mana, but... Another Sentinels. Well, it's a thing. It exists. Ozolith, okay. That one's kind of annoying. It leaves the battlefield as well, so Exile will put counters on the Ozolith. They attack us, okay. Colonnade is fine. It's a very good one. We could bounce the Ozolith. I think we're probably just slamming 5 Fairy, though, and upticking and holding up Counterspell. Seems pretty simple, so... Oh, yeah, that's right. They get the... Stupid Sentinel, man. The Sentinel tax. Gets me every single freaking time. Do we bounce the Ozolith or not? We could just bounce one of the creatures. Don't want to bounce Zabaz. That puts the counter on the Ozolith. Dang it. I think we just go ahead and bounce the Sentinel. And if they recast it, I probably will... I don't know. I don't know. Because playing Counterspell would play into them having Veil of Summer for real this whole time. So, I don't know. It's a complicated spot. Eventually, we'll top deck a Verdict and the spot will become no longer complicated. But they have 7 cards, which is what happens when you don't hit a land drop, but Overseer. I guess we just counter this. I don't see why not. Yeah, we're lucky that our opponent's stuck on lands here, because it's giving us the time to develop with our Planeswalkers. They swing at Time Raveler, sure. We can even animate Colonnade to block, so... Oh, they can't have Veil of Summer because of Teferi. That's right. That was the whole point of having this card. They've stopped on our upkeep. Oh, did they forget to play a land? It said land F asterisk asterisk asterisk. Well, we're kind of running out of lands about now too. Do we just try to make them discard? Are we trying to draw, or we just clock them with Tar Pit? I don't know. We could also steal Zabaz. I really don't hate that. It will not put counters on the Ozolith. I don't know. Stealing Zabaz doesn't seem like a great endeavor, though. We can cycle Triome, I suppose. I like cycle Triome. Fatal Push. Yeah, that's a good one. We did plus our Teferi, so... We'll pass and untap. Of course, that's why we cycled main phase with our Triome. Want to be a little fast here just to make sure that our time is not short of our opponents by too much. This Teferi letting us play around Veil is very important, by the way. We can Fatal Push this, so that's fine. Another Zabaz. Sure. Oh, we can put +1/+1 counters on our Colonnade or something if we steal the Ozolith with Archmage's Charm. It's kind of interesting. Okay, we'll yield to this. They are modularing onto the Zabaz. I foresee a future where we steal the Sentinel after they put a bunch of counters on it. That seems like a future that I want to be a part of. I'm just saying. Alright, let's do this. We're going to Fatal Push the Zabaz. And we're going to pay the 1. We're going to let all these things resolve, and then we're going to Archmage's Charm to steal the Esper Sentinel. Unless our opponent just chooses not to put these counters or something, but... We'll let the modular go. We'll see if they do choose to put the counters from the Ozolith on their Sentinel. And this is not going to tax us again because it's only the first spell, so... we'll let this go. And then we have our clock. Okay, they didn't use it, but that doesn't matter. This is my Esper Sentinel now. Thank you very much, opponent. We can discard on our opponent. Make sure they don't have anything going on over there. Damn is an interesting one. All right, let's uptick and uptick since we know we're doing that. We could minus on the Ozolith, I suppose, but I'm not really interested. And I think we just like start getting in with Tar Pit, I guess. So we have mana up to do other things. Wait. Yeah. We'll untap our black sources so we can Esper Charm into second Esper Charm if we draw it. I don't think making our opponent discard here is worth it, so maybe they'll cast something that'll trigger our Sentinel and we get to draw a card. Can't cast Hardened Scales into this Sentinel. Walking Ballista. Sure. You got it. Put in the counters on Ballista. Sure. This does kill Teferi Time Raveler, I suppose. We can minus to bounce something, and then they can't kill it. I'm not super worried about having a win con anymore, because we already have one, so we'll draw 2 cards. And I am going to fetch here to try to thin our deck a little bit and have all of our mana without any strings attached for the upcoming turns. We are at the point where we can double activate, so there's that. March is very good. I think we just bounce draw the Ballista at this point. We can minus on the Ozolith as well. Actually, I don't know. Bouncing on the Ballista was not great. We'll yield here. Oh, we are taking a lot of damage from this Ballista. We can exile the Ozolith with the March, I suppose. Yeah, and this is going to stop our draw from Time Raveler as well. Probably should have thought about that a little bit more. Although they probably want to put the Ballista in hand so they can recast it again into the Ozolith. Nope, never mind. All right, well, this fizzles. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that wouldn't be lethal. Let's uptick here. Since there's no counters on the Ozolith, we don't need to worry about it. We'll play a land. We'll activate Colonnade since it's more damage. Alright, and yeah, opponent has to kill us next turn, or they're dead, so we'll untap this and this. "4/4 Esper Sentinel, huh? Relic of Progenitus. Oh, and we get to draw a card. You got it! Draw with Relic? Sure. And come off Nexus. Okay. And we win. Cool. Alrighty. Let's hop in for match 3. On the draw, unfortunately. Oof, we got our first very land-heavy collection of cards for our opening hand here. Our opponent says good luck. I'll say good luck. Have fun. I mean, I do think we keep this. Our sequencing is kind of awkward because we want this Glacial to enter untapped, but I mean, I'm definitely keeping lands and early interactive spells. Arid Mesa, Steam Vents. So Blue-Red Murktide, perhaps? Oh, okay, no, this is the creativity deck. Interesting. We could land Prismatic Ending, but that is weak to them having a potential turn 2 Wrenn and 6. So I think I'm going to play Tar Pit and pass, and then if they play Wrenn and 6, we'll play Basic Plains and Prismatic. The question is, what type of creatures are they trying to creativity into? That is definitely the question. And do we want to ending here? I don't think so. We'll play Island representing Counterspell and pass. Blood Crypt. So they're playing the Archon of Cruelty variant, probably. They drew with a clue. Sure. Iteration's fine. Probably yielding through this turn now. Hoping to exile a land off the iteration, maybe. That way they could get a card in hand plus the iteration exile. Yep, that's exactly what they do. The discard spell? Inquisition. That one's really bad for us. We probably have to kill this token now. So they can't just immediately untap and creativity us. That's unfortunate, though. I don't know why I didn't expect Inquisition out of this deck, but I really didn't. Seems like a natural fit, but... They take March. Okay? Why? If they creativity the crab and we steal it, does that mean that we get to reveal? I mean, I don't know if that's good enough value or not, but... Let me go read the wording on creativity. Okay, so this is the wording. 3 and X. Destroy X target artifacts and or creatures. For each permanent destroyed this way, its controller reveals cards from the top until they reveal an artifact or creature, exiles it, and they put the exiled cards on the battlefield. So we could, in fact, allow them to put a Snapcaster Mage into play for us for 4 mana. I don't think they'll just creativity into the token like that. And I don't know that I want to use the Archmage's Charm in that way anyways. So I think I'm just going to Prismatic Ending this now. And just pass. Oh, I guess this is weak to them having the mountain land. Fetch for the one that makes a 1/1 and then they creativity it. Oh, they don't have it. Okay, good. Yeah, we definitely played into that hard. I don't think there's a way we could play around it, though. I guess we could hold up Archmage's Charm to counter creativity, but yeah, I don't know. That play was super risky, and they weren't able to punish us for it. Holding up Archmage's Charm would definitely have been better. I mean, we have not drawn anything other than lands either, which is not fantastic. We'd have more options here, better ways to play around things with more non-land cards, but maybe this deck should not be playing as many lands as it is. I think it's playing 26, and one of them being an Arden Veil. Probably don't need the Arden Veil. I don't know. I'm just super scared that people will not just concede to... I mean, and so far people haven't, but I guess having the Tar Pit and Colonnade is good enough, so... Alright, we'll play a tapped Fountain and pass, and just hold up Archmage's Charm. They're gonna have Remand, but... I mean, I don't know. There's just not much we can do at this point. Should have not Prismatic Endinged, I guess. It wouldn't make a difference, though. I wonder why they took the March of Otherworldly Light with that discard spell. That makes literally no sense. I mean, do we just steal the token? I don't see a reason not to. Do we gain control or just counter? I think we gain control. Just to get the Snapcaster value, Spell Pierce. Okay, well, let's see what they got. Archon. Okay. We'll pitch the fetch land, I guess. We still have ways to answer this. We could top deck a dam and overload it. Like that. And we'll play a tapped Watery Grave and pass. I mean, we literally just have all lands at this point, though, so... It was a very nice top deck. But... not out of the woods yet. And they're just going to creativity a second time. Well, this time we can draw Kaya's Guile, or Snapcaster Mage, which is the plains. Kaya's Guile and Snapcaster Mage both do it. Another land does not do it. So I guess we're just getting in with a Tar Pit, even though it does next to nothing. Again, if our opponent just has nothing, we can top deck one of those answers. But yeah, Bolt. Sure. Probably a game loss here. We get to bring in Dovin's Veto for this matchup. Archmage's Charm. We can find exactly land plus Guile or something, so we'll draw. And they'll counter this. They bolt us. They just have lethal on the stack and they just didn't cast it when we were tapped out. Why? I mean, okay, sure. I mean, it's not like we were going to be winning this game anyways. It's just strange they didn't cast it. Okay, well, So against them, we want Veto for sure. and Gust hits creativity through Veil of Summer, which is important because it doesn't counter. Purge is interesting if they have any planeswalkers that we care about, like Kaito or Nahiri, but they probably don't. They might have Kaito, actually, so they could, like, reanimate their thing. One Purge kind of feels kind of useless, though. Kozilek is interesting. I think I like Guile. Not that much, though. Unless they're on the Reanimator plan, which we don't know for sure. We didn't see any Persists or Unmarked Graves. That doesn't mean they don't have them, but it is possible. Okay, we can trim on pushes. They don't really do anything. I think I'd rather have Guiles than pushes, to be honest, so... Ending and March actually don't do a whole lot here either. Why did our opponent take our March with their Exile spell? I guess because this can hit the artifact they were trying to creativity. Guess we get rid of the endings. Spreading Seas seems useless. Kozilek is hilarious, but I don't think it's where we want to be. I'll just run it this way. We'll be on the play. Lands and spells, but no white sources and a basic swamp. Not exactly what I would call the move, but we have cards. I'll try it. We'd like to top deck a fetch land, so we can get whatever land we like with it. Or just any blue-white land. Even Celestial Colonnade would be okay. Name mold 6. Catacomb go. This way we could top deck any blue source and have turn 2 counterspell. Leading on the swamp wouldn't really do anything for us, so... They have Steam Vents and Hard Evidence. Yep. There's our fetch land, which we'll play and pass. Fetch land was a fantastic draw. I mean, we had 8 of those to draw, so... Inquisition. Do we just counter this? I think maybe we do. They could Spell Pierce it. But... They're going to take the counterspell anyways. We don't want them to have the rest of the knowledge of what our hand contains, so... We'll just counter this, and if they want to say no, that's fine. Oh, it just went through. Okay. Well, now they don't know for sure whether we have another counterspell or not, so there's that. We drew the Catacomb for our Archmage's Charm as well, which is fantastic. Solid crab tokens. They found lots of evidence. And we'll... Do we charm to make them discard? Is that crazy? I think that is kind of crazy, actually, because they have 2 draws with the clues, so... We'll just draw. Hey, Veto's very welcome. So is Teferi to eventually close the game out. Might be in the business of snap charming to make our opponent discard. Eventually. They draw, sure. Iteration. Do we counter this? Huh. We could counter this. Which I don't hate. And we don't get blown out by Spell Pierce. Not that we would anyways. I kind of want to counter this. Honestly. Oh wait, we can snap counterspell. I mean, our opponent has crab tokens to block, but... No, we want to save the snap for Esper Charm, I think. Is it worth countering this in the first place, though? Probably not. They would have to have, like... they would have to have an inordinate amount of discard spells to make this not work for us, so... Fatal Push. Sure. They have a dwarf. Oh, no! Not the dwarf. Do we just Kai's Guile here? I think it's otherwise not doing anything, so... Let's make our opponent sack, and we'll make a 1/1. That card does almost nothing. It might as well have 0 text, but that's okay. Land will let us Teferi plus, which I am going to do, so they can't just, like, take our Teferi. They don't have blue mana up to counter it. I guess they could have Force of Negation, but... I don't know if they play that. I think I'm not attacking to protect the Teferi from, like, fire and ice or something. Like, them attacking plus, like, bolt plus fire and ice or something. I don't know. They draw with a clue, that's fine. We'll hold up counterspell and veto, so they'd have to have, like, just single discard spell into polymorph effect would not work since we have that covered. I guess Veil of Summer would potentially do work for them. We are definitely trading with this token. They creativity. So let's just go ahead and say heck no and play around the spell pierce they're representing by using the veto instead of anything else. We'll uptick to Fairy first things and foremost. Esper Charm. Interesting. Well, we can end of turn Esper Charm here and still have Counterspell or Archmage's Charm through Spell Pierce. If we play the Mysticate, we go 1-2, untap with the Fairy, 3, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 open. So we would have to, we would not be able to beat a single discard spell, and they would have to have a second creativity as well. But I don't really want to expose myself to losing to anything here, to be honest. So I'm just going to play the tapped Grave and pass. Untap it with the Teferi, of course. And we'll pass. Now they can have discard spell, and we can still counter their creativity effect through Spell Pierce. So tap Blood Crypt is fine. We're probably going on the discard train with the Esper Charm here now. Do we snap Esper Charm? I don't think so. We'll just let him take the 1 for now. Not a big deal. We might instep Snap Charm, though. I guess that plays into their Spell Pierce, which is rapidly growing irrelevant, but nah, let's not play into Spell Pierce. We don't want to make it a useful card for them, so Emrakul plus Archon. Okay. Sure. Well, we're gonna snap, make them discard, I guess. And that's probably just game. Let's see, snap, make them discard, leaves us with 4. So I could, that's probably fine, though. Let's say they make us pay 2 through the snap Esper Charm. We have 5, 6, 7. We would not be able to counter a creativity if we paid the 2 and they top deck creativity. It's annoying. See, 3, 4, 5, pay 2. No, we would have counterspell up. We would still have counterspell up through paying for the Spell Pierce as well, so we'll do that. So the way we do this is the following. We go to our instep, we float with the Swamp and the Island in response to the Teferi untap trigger. Then we untap these 2. We'll activate here for Esper Charm mana. And we'll play Snapcaster Mage. We'll Charm to make them discard and hold up Counterspell, and if they Spell Pierce us, we'll pay. And this should be good. I don't really foresee them being able to win against this, so again, this is why you play Esper Charm in your control decks. The game is just over now. They fire... Okay, yeah, sure. Flusterstorm. Counter unless we pay 3. I mean, that doesn't matter when they have no cards in hand, so... yeah, we'll just not pay. The Esper Charm already did its job, pretty much. It got exiled. I don't know why it got exiled. That's kind of weird. Oh, that's right. It was being a flashback. Okay, well, we'll pass. And our opponent has their 1/1 to clock our Teferi. Sure. I could steal it with the Charm. Seems horrible, but it's funny. I think we do Charm to draw on their instep. If they top deck exactly Spell Pierce, then they got us, I guess. Spell pierced it. I didn't think so. Ooh, Snapcaster Mage. Whew. Let's see. We snap Esper Charm, so we'll have a bunch of mana up. I'm just gonna play the Tar Pit so we can start attacking. Yeah, our opponent concedes. Makes sense to me. Okay, so that went pretty well. I don't think we want to change anything, so I'm just gonna run it back. Supreme Verdict is kind of funny against what they got going on, but I guess we don't want to draw these dams. Not better to have any of these other cards, though. Kozilek, let's go. The non-sideboard card. Or the non-card sideboard card. They're on the play now. I don't know how much that changes things. It's better for them to be on the play, obviously. Gives them fewer cards to have in hand versus Esper Charm. And our hand is awful, so we'll mulligan. This hand is also awful, and Kai's Gal is not fantastic here. Yeah, we'll mulligan again. Okay, this hand is not great either, but we are not going to mull any further than this. So, yeah, we'll just do this, and we'll play turn 1 Colonnade, and hope we're not just dead to creativity shenanigans. No hard evidence is a great opening start for them, for us. As far as I'm considered, it's a great start for them. I don't think our opponent would usually agree to that, but Spreading Seas Colonnade, sure. That matters not at all. Archmage's Charm is a start. It's definitely a start. We'll fetch for our tapped Watery Grave here. Now they have hard evidence. I don't like it. I don't like it. Shadow Doubt Me. We'll play Glacial here and pass. Holding up all of our mana colors. Flusterstorm's kind of a scary one. They draw with Clue. That's fantastic for us. That means we can march this crab token. March for 1 being just overpowered here. Of course, they don't go for anything. Do we Charm to draw? I think Charm plus March is plenty of layers of interaction here. Next turn we might be Charming to draw, but... Oh, missed a gate so we don't have to take the damage for it either. Cool, cool. Why does our opponent have Spreading Seas against us? It's an interesting question. Ice to tap Watery Grave. You got it. They've been hurt by Esper Charm. This is why. Dwarven Mine. Yeah. It's kind of awkward. I think we still just have to untap here. Can't really afford to draw 2, because if we don't hit Counterspell, then we just die to Creativity. If they Creativity this turn, with a Counterspell backup, then we would have been dead already. I don't know what we can infer from that. Either they don't have the backup spell, like the Flusterstorm, or a Mystical Dispute, or whatever, or they don't have the Creativity. I don't think casting Archmage's Charm is going to be great here, though. Especially if they just Flusterstorm it. Or like something like that. I think we just have to untap. And we are going to shock in the Hallowed Fountain to represent anything. Something. We are stopped in my upkeep. Opponent is going to cast Fire and Ice, I guess? No? Now we don't have to shock in the fountain, so that's nice. Land's surprisingly not a horrible draw here. Now, oh, they're attacking. They're attacking, huh? I think we might just snap block this. Snap block, then they Creativity, and we march, and they have Flusterstorm for 3. But that's the only thing that does it, because we could play through Spell Pierce. Do we play around the, 1 or 2 Flusterstorms they probably play in their sideboard? They could also just, fetch for another Dwarven Mine as their land drop for the turn. So I guess probably not. And they did have the fetch, so that's that. I think we just draw with the charm here now. And hope that we hit. Aha! That is definitely a hit. We'll do this. Yeah, that's absolutely a hit. And again, we're just never ever going to tap out unless our opponent tries to tap out. Dovin's Veto is hilarious against their Mystical Disputes and Fluster Storms and Spell Pierces and that kind of thing. Dovin's Veto do not care. We're happy if they're playing more lands, too. We'll just take our one. This 1 point is not bothering me at all. And I think we'll just snap draw. And we don't care if they counter this or not. We're just trying to get a Snapcaster into play at this point. And just, like, use our cards. So we're no longer just passing with no use of our mana. As far as I know, there's not, like, something they can do to polymorph at instant speed. So if they want to counter this, that's fine. Spell Pierce, you got me. That Spell Pierce could have gotten us way worse than just being half of a Snapcaster Mage here. We'll shock in the Hallowed Fountain, because our life total probably does not matter. We'll pass. I'm more than willing to trade with this Dwarf token, actually. Strangely enough. Our Snapcaster effectively just made our opponent discard a card, so pretty happy with that. They could just hard cast Archon at some point. I wonder how many Archons and Emrakuls they have in their hand right now. They probably don't play that many of them, but Lightning Bolt. Okay. You got me. Do we Kaya's Guile here, or is that like they sack this, they go for the polymorph, we have March for 1 after paying 3, they have a counterspell, we have counterspell like Veto or something. Doesn't seem that bad. I don't really foresee this going too south for us. We'll do this. Best case scenario, it just trades for all of their tokens. Or they just countered or something. Trading for all the tokens, huh? I'll take that option for sure. Weird that they even sacrificed the O3. Very strange to me. More lands is good. So we Teferi. I don't know what they could even do to counter this Teferi. I think I'm just slamming it. Yep. And we have double counterspell plus March, so probably fine. Land that we can't play. Kind of sad. We'll untap the multicolored lands here. Colonnade not counting because of the Spreading Seas that we still don't care about. A Dwarf token. Oh no! What? How can we beat that? Ah, it's attacking for 1. Oh no. I think we've lost, guys. Creativity. What if I said I did not actually think it was okay for you to have this token in the first place? What if I just did this? Oh. For each permanent destroyed this way. So this just hard counters the creativity. Our opponent just let it go so fast that I was like, is there something I'm missing here? But no, that's just a 1 mana hard counter to the creativity. Oh, they have a second creativity. Oh, you have a second creativity. Well, I have bad news for you, opponent. You are not allowed to be creative. And we win the match. Whew. Yeah, the creativity match seems pretty decent. It's probably worse for us when our opponent's playing 3 fairy, but anyways, we'll hop back in here for match 3. No, match 4. That was my favorite kind of match where our opponent does nothing all game, and then we counter the few relevant things they do, and we just win. Seems good to me. I will say, March has been impressive. Every game, every single matchup, the entire league. March is just so good for this deck. It's possible that playing 4 is correct. Like, I bumped it down to 3 because occasionally you're on the draw and it's like a 2-mana spell, but it does something against everything. March is so good. It's probably not great in the control matchup, but, I mean, that's just all removal spells pretty much. Alrighty, let's hop in here for a match 4. It's been a long league so far. Be on the play. Love it. We have a hand that does nothing until turn 3. Snap keep. We can flash and snap to block if we absolutely had to, so... I mean, I am going to keep this. This is the kind of hand that you sign up for when you play Esper, unfortunately. A March off the top would be good. Prismatic Ending as well. See what our opponent's playing. No Companion. No Companions this entire league so far. Very strange. Ragavan. Yep. I'm a prophet. I got Ragavan. Do we march right now? That plays into them having second Ragavan to dash, but I'm not playing around that, so we'll cast this one. We'd rather not get counterspelled if at all possible. Yeah, remember what I was saying about March just being good? They have Channeler. Cool. We can just steal that, which I don't hate. What if we just, played our opponent's deck instead of our own? Yoink. If our opponent has to Unholy Heat this, I'll be very happy. This also stops them from filling their graveyard for Murktide and gives us an answer for the next threat that they play. We untap with their Channeler. Oh, it's happening. It's definitely happening. Now we have Snap March up for a Dash Ragavan or something. You best bet I'm attacking with their Channeler. Although I don't think it's going to be super likely for us to get this Delirium achieved. We'd have to hit all 4 card types. No, I guess we have Planeswalker, Land, Instant Sorcery, Creature. So it is possible for us to hit Delirium. It's probably extremely unlikely, but they fetch a tapped Steam Mint. Iteration. We can snap March and pitch a white card in order to hit a Blood Moon or something if we had to. Because that is how that works. Do we even fetch? I guess not, to be honest. We might want to fetch a basic to play around Blood Moon. We are slamming Teferi here if we draw the land. Land! Land off the top. Land one time. Esper Charm. Nah, I guess not. Just keep swinging here. They're going to all this trouble to get their Murktide Regent into play. Channeler, sure. And then we're just going to Teferi minus it. And they're going to cry. We'll just go ahead and let them scry, since this is going to happen anyways. We don't want to give them the information that this Channeler is not surviving. We are probably drawing it in step with Esper Charm as well. We can mill to try to find our untap land for Teferi. Gotta be careful about Murktide in this matchup, though. And we'll fetch in case we leave something on top, I guess. I'm just going to get basic Swamp here. Play around Blood Moon as much as we can. Draw 2 cards, trigger our Surveil. Land, we do want that on top, actually, so. Another Teferi, huh? And I guess we just go ahead and push this now. Fatal Push. We actually probably want to bin that one. We're looking for a counterspell to answer Murktide at this point. Everything else we have covered, pretty much. They discard. Murktide Regent. Really? Oh, Kaya's Guile. Oh, man. Do we just cast it? If we let them untap, they cast Murktide, but then we just Kaya's Guile make them sacrifice and exile. I think we want to slam Teferi while we can. Mill over the land? I think so. Oh, we win. Cool. I guess casting Teferi was the right line, huh? Alright, against them, what do we want? We want Guiles for Murktides and to control Delirium. It's one of the few ways we have to actually answer their Murktide Regents. Speaking of, we might want Supreme Verdict for the same reason, but tapping out for it's not great. We can just cast Dam for 2 mana to hit Murktide as well, which is quite relevant. I don't like Seize here, I don't think. Aether Gust is interesting, as well as Purge. Purge hits Blood Moon. I guess Aether Gust doesn't hit much else. They hit Blood Moons and Channelers, but maybe hitting Blood Moon's good enough to have these 2 cards. They're not particularly great against Murktide, though. Revelry is interesting. It gives us 2 things to trade with a Ragavan. Doesn't do anything against the DRCs, though. Huh. I think that's probably about where we want to be. Prismatic Ending is meh. It's okay in this matchup. I think we can trim 1. Having 2 endings plus 4 pushes plus a couple of instant speed ways to interact with their creatures is probably good enough. Nice to have it for 1 mana, but not necessary, exactly. I'm going to go look at a Murktide deck list real quick to see what they're sideboarding in. Okay, so I'm here with a example Murktide list. It looks like they have some Grave Hate in the form of Soul Guide and Relic. They'll probably bring in a couple Blood Moons if they don't have them in the main board already. Jace, which is one that we need to be aware of. Mystical Disputes, which we can play around. So they've got some additional threats in the form of Blood Moon and Jace. They've got a little bit of interaction in the form of Dispute, plus maybe Spell Pierce if they have them in the main board. Interesting. Do we want vetoes? Probably not. Using Prismatic Ending to answer Jace doesn't seem like where we want to be. Maybe a couple vetoes for specifically Jace is okay. Maybe it's not. We kind of just get owned by Jace if they resolve it. I think we probably need vetoes for that reason. Not that I'm excited about it. Probably can trim on Counterspell. Maybe, maybe not. Counterspell's not great against their mono 1-drops, though, that they'll just cast before we ever get the chance to Counterspell, so... And they have Grave Hate, so we'll trim a Snapcaster Mage, I guess. I kind of want to have a 3rd Counterspell, but I'm not sure. Archmage's Charm is very good. It just steals their things or draws cards or whatever. Esper Charm is Maybe Kaya's Guile is not as reliable since they're playing Spell Pierces, but it does get around Dispute, which is important. March also answers Blood Moon, so maybe we don't really need these Purge, the Purge and Aether Gust effects, since we have March for that. Oh, that was time. I don't think we sideboarded. I did not realize. Oh, well. Hey, maybe our game 1 configuration is so good against them that we'll be fine. We'll definitely keep this. Fatal Push their turn 1 Ragavan. If they play DRC, then we'll pass. Yep, there's turn 1 Ragavan. If they play DRC, we'd pass and hold up March for Dash Ragavan. But, yeah, this Monkey is dead. Gone. We have drawn one of the counter spells that we still have 4 of in our deck, so that's nice. Let's see if they dash Ragavan or no. No other threat, huh? Good news for us. We'll play Floodstrain to pass. We might have to fetch a basic land to play around Blood Moon, so basic plains, that is. Considers fine. Just want to not get got by Jace, if at all possible. I don't think we're fetching here to play around a possible Blood Moon, so... I am willing to shock in Watery Grave just to be able to draw 2 cards that ends up with Archmage's Charm here. It would be kind of awkward to have to fetch a basic island with this Flooded Strand, though. We really want it to be a plains. They draw 2 cards. Yeah, that's fine. If we counter this, they just untap and slam Jace, so... Or they could. And if they did that, we'd probably just lose, so we can't really allow that to happen, even if they don't have it. We can beat them drawing 2 cards. It's not a big deal. Just slam Jace. A Murktide Regent with Counterspell backup. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, we have to Counterspell and hope they don't have it, but they will have it. But this clears the way for a Kaya's Guile if we top deck it, so... They have Counterspell also. Yeah, this is one of the ways we can lose this matchup pretty easily, is just getting Murktided. And we only have 2 Kaya's Guile since we weren't able to bring in the other ones, unfortunately. We'll get our Raugrin here. Kaya's Guile off the top. Or Dam. It's neither of those. It's a 5/5. I think we just have to draw here with Charm. I mean, we're already losing, so Jace is not even a consideration. Do we play Swamp to hold up Fatal Push or just a tapped Tar Pit? I mean, we could even play a tapped Fountain, but I think Swamp is a good idea in case they have Dash Ragavan or something. We can Teferi minus on the Murktide, I guess. Yeah, this particular deck is a little soft to Murktide Regent. There's Kaya's Guile. That's fantastic. Okay. Do we shock in the fountain? We do, I think, so we can Kai's Guile into a potential Spell Pierce and then pay for it. And then if it doesn't work, we can untap Snap Kai's Guile. So probably gaining life with the Kai's Guile at this point. We'll let them attack. And we'll make them stack and we'll gain 4 life. If they have Spell Pierce, then we got it covered. Counterspell. Okay. I guess we could just be dead to bolt here. Channeler, sure. Right, on their instep, we'll march the Channeler, I guess? Seems right to me. Well, hold on. Let's think about this. We can march the Murktide if we can pay an X of 7. If we discount it by 2, then that's 6 mana. So this march could potentially answer Murktide, although we have to answer Murktide this turn anyways, so I think it doesn't really make sense to save the march here. But in theory, going late, we could potentially exile a Murktide with march. Just let that go, okay. Ending. Well, we're going to cast the Snapcaster Mage and hope that it works, and we can't do anything else, so... We could have played Teferi, I guess, but... And now, the question is, so if this resolves, what do we exactly want it to do? We want to make them sack the Murktide, but do we gain the 4 to play around the Bolt, or do we exile their graveyard to play around another Murktide? I think gaining the 4 is the right play. Each opponent sacrifices, you gain 4. Spell Pierce. Yeah, we did not get them. Okay. I mean, admittedly, that was still a fairly real game, despite the fact we didn't sideboard. So, we want... Actually, I don't know that we do want vetoes. I can't really tell. I don't know why it's so hard to sideboard for this matchup. We'll take a veto, I guess. Now, we'll take double veto. We'll trim a charm. As we can't usually use them super effectively, we're going to be behind on board a lot, so we're going to be interacting with the board if at all possible. We can trim a Counterspell, perhaps, although they are good against Murktide. I think Counterspell's worth keeping. Dam's good. Ending's not that great. Ardenvale seems actually really good against Ragavan, so we could trim a March. I don't know that I love that. Being able to instant speed answer the things is important, so... Maybe it's just another charm. I don't know. I don't love that. I guess just ending. We have so many ways to deal with their creatures that it's fine. Yeah, this hand seems good. We might be preemptively using this guy to exile their graveyard so that they can't Murktide before we want to allow them to. So we'll play Delta here and potentially fetch and push something if they play it. Ragavan, huh? I mean, nope. We're not going to let that one stay. We'll get a blue source so we can potentially hold up Counterspell. Next turn, we're probably... I guess it doesn't... I'm not entirely sure what we're playing here, land-wise. We want to play the Fleshdrain on turn 3 to play around Blood Moon for sure. I guess we play the Delta and pass, just to see what's up. That way we'll have both our fetch lands in play by the time they hit turn 3 to see if we need to fetch for basics or not. Dash Ragavan would be annoying. They don't have it. Oh, they're playing double Channeler. Okay. Kai's Gal really likes to hear that. I wish we had another instant speed removal spell here. Are we fetching? I think we can untap. We're probably fetching for a basic, so we'll see what we draw. Fountain. Yeah, basic island, basic plains. If we go basic swamp, we could top deck an Esper Charm to answer a Blood Moon, but they're not playing like they have Blood Moon. They did fetch Steam Vents. Interesting. We definitely need to get our basic planes in play, that's for sure. So we'll just go ahead and start there. That one we want anyways. Do we want a basic swamp or a basic island? Swamp will put us very far away from casting Archmage's Charm. I don't think I want the swamp. I don't know, though. We have Kai's Guile to bridge the gap between their Blood Moon and our Teferi. So I think we just do this. We'll make them sacrifice and then exile their yard so they can't get a Murktide online as fast. And we'll pass. Making the 1/1 doesn't really matter. The 1 point of damage is not a big deal. Iteration, it's fine. Might be just going ahead and doing another Kaya's Guile here. They mill over the Murktide, which is exactly what we want to see. Spire Bluff holding up. Spell Pierce. Or not. Ragavan. That one is annoying. That one is definitely annoying. These are on Mono Kaya's Guiles over here, huh? What are we doing with this Guile? Sack can make a 1/1 main phase, so they can't counter it. And then having a blocker for Ragavan seems pretty decent. And then if they tap out during their turn, we can just untap and Teferi them. I don't think we're doing much else here, so we'll make them sack and we'll make a 1/1. They're one card away from being able to slam Murktide here. If they had just a normal land, like a Steam Vince or the Unholy Heat, okay. I was going to say if they had just a regular land, then they would have to pay full value for the Murktide, and we can just Teferi minus on it. Them hitting land is fantastic for us. Iteration. This treasure represents Spell Pierce. So I think we're going to Guile to make them sack and exile, again, to play around Murktide, and instead of slamming Teferi, because I don't want to just get owned by Spell Pierce. And we'll play it by ear. From there, they exile Mystical Dispute. Shock. They're holding up Counterspell now. Oh, we can Charm to steal the guy. Do we just take another Ragavan hit if they have another Counterspell? Would I rather them Counterspell the Charm, the Kai's Guile, or the Teferi? I suppose we could untap and rip a land and have both Kai's Guile and Archmage's Charm all in the same turn. And if they don't have the Counterspell, then Teferi minusing the Ragavan, we would lose it to an Unholy Heat, but that's fine. It would answer the Ragavan, and then whatever they cast, we would be able to Guile. Interesting situation. If we let them untap, they have Archmage's Charm up. Teferi plays into Spell Pierce, but Kai's Guile would not play into Spell Pierce. I think we're supposed to jam Teferi here, and if it resolves minus on the Ragavan, probably. Because we're going to have to burn through this Counterspell anyways, and Teferi is the most mana-efficient way to do that. The problem is it'll potentially let them resolve Murktide. They have one in the graveyard, but Kai's Guile doesn't play into Mystical Dispute. I don't know. It's rough. I think we're supposed to play Teferi. I think this is the best turn to do so. They have the Counterspell, which we expected. No Murktide follow-up, please. And don't hit our Teferi off the top either. No! No, that's the worst possible case scenario. Maybe I shouldn't have said it. Dang it! We definitely can't beat that. We absolutely cannot beat that. That's so frustrating. This stupid monkey. I mean, I guess... Dude, we just actually can't beat Teferi at all. I guess we can steal the monkey. We actually just can't beat this. There was only 2 for them to hit. We steal the monkey. They don't have counterspell. We Kai's-Gale to make a flyer, and we can clock Teferi over 2 turns and just, like, hope for the best. That's our only plan, I guess. We get owned by any single counterspell. We can also make them sack and exile with the Guile, but then we don't get the token. We don't have a way to clock Teferi, so, like, this is the only way. This is so stupid. If they had hit anything other than Teferi, we'd have been fine. Dang, dude. Ugh, that's so stupid. I hate this card, by the way. This card is stupid. Alright, well, last match. Lost the freaking monkey. Alrighty, let's jump in here for the final match. On the draw. Shame. They choose to play first, of course. We have mono interaction. Love to see it. Against Lurrus as well, so this is a fantastic opener. Probably fetching Watery Grave. We'll keep. If they play something, we can Fatal Push on turn 1. Ooh, this is blue-white Hammer Time. Ginger Brute. So his haste can't be blocked. I don't think we're Prismatic Ending this. Just a 1/1. We'll play the Flood Stranded Path, I guess. I don't see a reason to kill this. Swing 1. It's fine with me. Shock Fountain. Stoneforge, sure. It's probably getting a hammer, I would assume. I mean, it would have to get the hammer, basically. That or the trample one, because they're playing Lurrus, so they can't actually have anything else that's particularly relevant. Do we kill the Ginger Brute yet? I don't think so. We want to have instant speed interaction if they have Sigarda's Aid, so they could have Spell Pierce, by the way, which would not be pleasant. Haha, we got Damn. Damn, that's a top deck. Do we Prismatic Ending yet? Nah, I think there's a possibility that they Spell Pierce and we need to Prismatic Ending the hammer, so. Assuming they have the, Ooh, that's annoying. Assuming they have the Sigarda's Aid, that is. They just play the hammer, sure. Yeah, not playing the island doesn't play around... Oh, Core Outfitter, that's fine. Not playing the island doesn't play around them having Pure Steel Paladin, but... Equip the Stoneforge. No thanks. Now we just need to hold up interaction for Pure Steel Paladin, I guess. We can also Esper Charm to kill the Saga, and then if they have Pure Steel, we potentially top deck a White Source to overload Dam. I think killing the Saga here makes a lot of sense. We'll destroy that enchantment right there. Esper Charm's secret mode. Seems good. And if everything goes south here... Oh, another Saga? We don't like it. They put Lurrus in hand, sure. Snapcaster. We probably have to counterspell the Lurrus, so we can Prismatic Ending the hammer. We're eventually going to be able to overload Dam to deal with the creatures, so maybe we care about the hammer more. I really dislike the Saga staying in play, but there's not much we can do about it. If we ending the Ginger Brute, they might be forced to lean into Saga. I think I'd rather ending the hammer, though, to be honest. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us, but don't want them to have that one in play if they resolve a Pure Steel Paladin. But we do have to counter the Lurrus, sadly, so they're probably just going to make Saga value here, though. We'll take some damage here. When they start making tokens with the Saga, then we'll snap, push, and block and clear the board that way. Giver of Runes. We probably will have to prismatic ending that one. Wait, what does that mean? I guess they have a land drop? We can't do anything about that anyways. Memnite, sure. Yep. Kaya's Guile. We would really like to find that white source for overloading this Wrath of God here. So I guess we prismatic the Giver. So we can, I don't know. They're going to make a Saga token here. We can snap Chump, untap Overload Dam, and be in pretty good shape if we top deck the land for it, that is. They could just cast Luris this turn, I guess. No, they make the token. Makes a lot of sense. But we need to top deck the white source for this Wrath. That's what we're trying to do here. We could also take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 down to 1. We could go down to 1 and then hold the snap for a snap prismatic ending or something, or snap push. Just cast Hammer. Okay. And they got Shadow Spear as well. It's a scary one. Do we need to take the snap Chump here or not? That way we can Kaya's Guile to make a 1/1 and buy another turn, perhaps? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, yeah, we have to Chump here, so. Basic math. So we'll take our Chump block. And top deck the white source, easy, off the top. White source right now. Oh, not that white source. I didn't specify. I did not specify. So we make a 1/1, go to 10. Yeah, I think we're just dead here. Because they equip Shadow Spear. Yikes. Not that white source. We did get punished. Although, I guess Hall of the Storm Giants wouldn't have done anything either, but. Alright, we want the Wrath. Kaya's Guile is awkward because they have a lot of random 1/1s that we don't care about, actually, so I don't like Guile in this matchup. Seize is good for their Sagas, so I like having a couple. Maybe not, like, a bunch, because we can also hit those with March as well, so. Sunset Revelry seems very good, giving us some very much needed chump blockers. Let's see, what else? Dam's good. Counterspell's not fantastic. Esper Charm is good to make them discard the last couple cards in hand. And it also hits Saga, but I don't know, it's not that fantastic. We'll trim it. Prismatic Ending's good. Archmage's Charm is decent. Snapcaster's a little expensive, but I don't like Ardenvale. We probably don't have the mana to be activating that one. Probably should just cut Ardenvale entirely. Maybe, oh yeah, we can trim these other Kaya's Guiles too. They're good against Luris in particular, but that's not really relevant. We kind of just need to answer Luris, even if they get a card out of it, so. Like, we can't be exiling their graveyard and making them sacrifice a creature of their choice, because we're just going to die to Hammer if we do that. Huh. I think we have to keep this. Hopefully we'll get to the point where we can overload Dam rather than cast it for 2, but. Like, we want them to lean on Cigar's Aid so we can ending it, and then their hand just doesn't really function. Sentinel. Yeah, that's pretty annoying. Do we have to ending that one? I don't know. I think that we probably do not have to ending that one immediately. Play Catacomb so we can be open to casting Dam for 2 next turn if we have to. I don't see what would cause us to need to do that, but this also represents like Drown the Lock or something. Drum is fine. Giver is not quite as fine. That one we probably do need a Prismatic Ending, or we could just steal it. Swinging straight into Snapcaster Mage, no respect. Interesting. Yeah, overloading Dam seems like a pretty decent plan with the way that this game is going. I think we probably do want a Prismatic Ending the Giver, however. We could also draw with the Charm. Draw with Charm, Shock in, Fountain, Overload, Dam. Have Prismatic Ending for follow-up. Or we Shock in Fountain now, I guess. Yeah, this seems fine. Because they're probably just going to activate Saga. This also means that we can counter something if we want to. Probably not countering anything in this turn. What? Okay, they did nothing, which I'm pretty okay with. Oh, and they're going to end up sacrificing the Saga with no land drop, so... They can... Oh, this triggers freaking Sentinel. I hate the Sentinel tax. I hate it. This lets them... They still get the token from the Saga, so... Oh, no, actually, if we overload Dam, they can't activate, so... Still probably right to overload here. They get to draw another freaking card with Sentinel. We could also just Ending the Giver. They make 2 tokens, go get something. Then we overload Dam and pay 1 for the Sentinel tax. I don't know. I think it's okay. We might not even have to do anything. We might just be able to pass. I think passing is fine. They're going to make an Incept token with Saga, maybe untap, make a token, then we overload Dam and pay the 1. And then deal with their next wave with Prismatic Ending plus Teferi. We probably want to fetch in response to this so they don't get us with Pithing Needle, I guess. See if they want to make another token. Giver's not looking too great against Wrath of God. We'll go fetch here, just in case they have Pithing Needle. Might as well play around it. If they had Pure Steel Paladin and a double hammer, I guess that would be a big problem, but they did get Pithing Needle. No freaking way. They're probably going to name this the 2 of that we have in our hand just by happenstance. Engineered Explosives. We play 0 copies of that card, so that's fine. Interesting name by our opponent when they haven't seen the card. Stoneforge, okay. Yeah, so Overloading Dam looking pretty good here. They got the Reality Chip. Okay. That's a card they can get, I suppose. Yeah, we'll overload Dam and pay the tax, I guess. Sunset Revelry. It's kind of an interesting one. And now we want to get this Critical Mass of Permanence out of play, I think. They could have a 0-drop into Sigarda's Aid, activate Springleaf to Reality Chip, and that could be annoying, but probably not too bad. I don't think we want to play around a second Pithing Needle, so I'd rather just keep the Fudge Strain in hand. I think we're just overloading Dam here and paying the 1 for the Sentinel tax. And then we can Sunset Revelry to have some chump blockers. Spell Pierce? What? I totally did not think about Spell Pierce. They didn't have any blue in play at all that I saw. Well, that's probably game over. What? I still, that still did not even register in my brain. I guess that makes Damn look like a really bad Supreme Verdict. When they pivoted to blue to play the reality chip, the fact that they just so happen to be playing Spell Pierce now is extremely relevant in this matchup. So be aware of that, obviously. Damn, they Spell Pierced my Damn. Interesting. 7. We're taking 7 here. How do we even win now? I guess we Sunset Revelry and Prismatic Ending. Something. We kind of need to deal with this reality chip. Wow, that happened. I was not factoring Spell Pierce into anything that I was doing. Definitely good to be aware of that card in this matchup. The funny thing is I knew they played it. I might have even mentioned it in game 1 with a Seachrome Coast, but I suppose we could have played around it by Prismatic Ending the Springleaf Drum first and just letting them draw from the stupid Sentinel. Hammer. Hammer. 6, 7, 8. Okay. Fatal Push is a good one. So we definitely got a Revelry on this board. I think tapping this way is fine. Stupid freaking Sentinel. Do we pay the tax? We can push plus ending. Hit the giver with the ending, then push whatever they give protection. Or just hold up the push for a potential Pure Steel Paladin turn. I think it is free to pay for the push, so I am going to pay for the Sentinel tax. Ugh, the stupid Sentinel is just going to stay and play forever, isn't it? Because if we ending the giver and then push the Sentinel, chump the construct, I mean, they could have the trample thing that kills us. They could just have freaking anything. I think we do ending the giver, and then we just pass and have push plus pay the Sentinel tax. I guess we don't need to fetch, though. Sunset Revelry looking really good here, though. Our opponent's tanking hard on what to do with this giver, I guess. They could have another Spell Pierce, I guess. If they Spell Pierce this, we probably just have to let it resolve and push, hold up push. Which really sucks. It's probably the case, though. Or we could just hope they don't have the trample one. We could just hope they don't have Shadow Spear. And try to untap with Teferi plus push. I don't know, maybe if they Spell Pierce, we're just supposed to pay it because we're so far behind, we can't afford to lose the ending that we're casting here. Much more interesting game that our opponent actually had the Spell Pierce for our Damn, too. It made this game several times more complex. We still have to be able to eventually deal with this Lurrus, too. Maybe Prismatic Ending their Springleaf Drum could have been a play. Probably not that we're, now that we're so far behind on board, but interesting thought for sure. Another Damn off the top will probably just win the game, by the way. That or the Supreme Verdict. And this is the perfect kind of board where that is the reason why I board out things like Esper Charm, is because when we're this far behind, we can't afford to be spending mana to not impact the board. If we had an Esper Charm in hand, similarly to Fairies actually, since it just doesn't really do enough to impact the board, we would just never be casting it. So that's why I like to board out Esper Charm in this matchup. Also, making them discard when they have this much on board is pretty useless anyways, so. They let it go. Cool. We're happy about that. They definitely have the Spell Pierce, by the way. That's why they sat there staring for so long. So maybe not casting Push, or maybe we cast Push to force them to Spell Pierce. So we can untap and resolve 5 Fairy. Or I guess a Dam if we top deck it. I would love to be able to trade one of these human tokens for this Esper Sentinel. That would be the dream, although the Esper Sentinel's already done so much work. Alright, we're obviously chumping here. I think we throw the push here anyways. Oh no, we're yielded to it. Oh, freaking heck. Ugh. I hate this stupid Esper Sentinel card. Oh my gosh, that's so bad. They have the Pierce too. I guess always yielding the Sentinel when you're playing fetch land is not a great idea. I'm used to playing Amulet where you can always yield and you never have problems, but that's not great. Oops. I guess we get a white source. And now we slam the Teferi. Do we minus on something? Huh, which Teferi do we slam? Interesting. We can play around Spell Pierce with Big Teferi. And then they send both of these, or they just animate Inkmoth and send it at the Big Teferi and kill it. Which is probably still fine. Little Teferi invalidates Spell Pierce anyways, though, and we might draw interaction off of it. I think it's Little Teferi. They can't have double Spell Pierce, so we don't need to worry about that. Yeah, we'll play Little Teferi. I hate Esper Sentinel. I hate this card. Yeah, we'll pay. We'll bounce draw the token. Island is not a great top deck. We'll play the island, I guess, and save the fetch land for when we have Fatal Push. Although all of their stuff costs 2 or less, so not really that important, but... Oh yeah, we can safely yield through the whole turn because there's nothing they can do with Teferi in play, so... We're trying to fight back after getting completely destroyed by Spell Pierce. Oh, they can Stoneforge in the reality chip? Sure. What's this? Pure Steel? I mean, they don't know it, but that would just be lethal. I do not want to have to play another game of this match. I'm feeling the mental fatigue. Yep, Pure Steel Paladin is just lethal, so there's that. I mean, they have to equip to the 2 separate creatures that attack with both. And as soon as they do that, we'll scoop it up. Equip 0. Oh, so this does affect the... Oh, no, it adds equip 0 to the ability, sure. Yep, we just messed around too long this game. Played into the Spell Pierce, and we got punished for it. Alright, yeah, let's just scoop it up. This game's over. Oh, that was the only game. All right, well, not the greatest showing for Esper, and clearly I have not played it in a while, so I am not super brushed up on all the right plays to make, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this content. Anyways, if I had to make more changes, this castle is absolutely gone. Definitely not necessary. Probably bringing in a 4th prismatic ending, I think. And sideboard-wise, I'm not sure I would change much. I really would like to have a 1-mana interaction like Spell Pierce of our own, or Flusterstorm or something like that, Mystical Dispute in the sideboard. I think that would be a good addition. I'm not sure the Kozilek is worth it. I might rather just lose to Mill. We never used it, so I think that's probably fine. Dispute gives us extra answers to the Murktide region as well, so I think probably Dispute's where we'd want to be. Trim the Gust. Probably. I don't know. It's a hard puzzle to solve. I think that the tools are there, but tuning Esper is really difficult in the current meta, so... Anyways, let me know what you guys think about Esper, and I hope you guys enjoyed this content. I don't get to make Esper stuff for you guys that often, so... Yeah. I have nothing else to say. This is Redface Menace, signing off.